Hello dear viewers, this is George from Ireland, and in this video I'm going to outline why there should be no posthumous pardon in the United Kingdom for suffragettes. Now, suffragettes were women who were around in the years running up to 1918, and I suppose there were perhaps a few male suffragettes who campaigned for women to have the right to vote in parliamentary elections. By that time, women already had the right to vote in local elections. So there was no crime in being a suffragette, but many suffragettes did break the law in furtherance of their cause, as in acts of vandalism, public disorder, occasionally assaulting politicians and police officers, resisting arrest when they were given fines, refusing to pay them, putting weed killer on golf courses and burning down buildings, things like that. They didn't kill anyone, actually, well, apart from themselves, by going on hunger strike in prison. Having said that, I don't remember them actually dying on hunger strike. So these were misdemeanors, and they could have got away with paying a fine, but it was their policy not to shell out because they wanted to be incarcerated. They felt this would garner more sympathy for them, and it would certainly gain them publicity in the press. Anyway, so one could fully agree with the suffragettes' objectives, but still think that this pardon is a bad idea. Now, who these days doubts that women ought to be allowed to vote in parliamentary elections? There are many contentious issues in any era, including today. Does that mean that it's permissible to break the law in order to advance one's agenda? Now, I would say no. I feel incredibly strongly on a number of issues, but that wouldn't entitle me to transgress the law. Where would we be if everybody felt that the law could just be torn up if they had a worthwhile cause? Everyone who has a cause believes it's a moral one. Otherwise, they would not espouse that cause. So these women were convicted of various offences, not terrible ones usually, and that's a historical fact. Should we strike that from the record? I say not. These women had criminal records. They weren't particularly wicked people, and their cause was laudable, but people often point out that the law is the law. Why pardon them? Moreover, it's posthumous. They're long dead. They were granted the vote 100 years ago this week, so it might be their great-grandchildren around. Does it really help them move on? I don't think so. Now, if somebody's wrongly convicted of murder and then hanged, then a posthumous pardon would provide some therapeutic benefit perhaps to their descendants or people who actually knew them in their lifetime. But this is different. These women went to prison for a couple of years at most. Usually they were in and out under the Cat and Mouse Act, the Sick Prisoners Discharge of Ill Health Act. As if they're on a hunger strike, they'd be released, allowed to start eating, regain their strength, and then imprisoned once again. So posthumous pardons are futile for the most part. It seems to retrospectively excuse their crimes, and then it would encourage would-be lawbreakers today. At minimum, this is a waste of Parliament's precious time. There are many more urgent issues to deal with right now. So it's bitterly ironic that feminists these days tend to want the suffragettes' convictions to be overturned. But they would then say that pro-life demonstrators should not be allowed to protest outside abortion clinics, should have to have like a 100-metre exclusion zone or more. And whereas these suffragettes, they were protesting for their cause right outside Parliament or Buckingham Palace, chaining themselves to railings. And now, as many feminists say, that people shouldn't be allowed to protest at the relevant place if they're pro-life at an abortion clinic. So you see how things have gone full circle. It wouldn't be dreadful if this pardon were issued. I don't think we should be constantly revisiting past historical disputes and reassessing them in the light of our modern mores. Where does that get us, and how far back do we go? So it's not something that I oppose zealously. It wouldn't be terrible if it did occur, but I just think it sets a worrying precedent, so let's not bother.